Hey ladies, I've moved into my art studio in the back. So I'm gonna show y'all some of the pictures I'm gonna try to paint today for y'all. And I believe I'm gonna try to do wet on wet. And I just Googled and searched on the internet for some images that I thought would be fun and pretty easy. So I have a Christmas ball with looks like a little fir tree, just a little old, well, hard to see with the light. Sorry, y'all. There. Little, okay, well, I keep having trouble with my internet connection, so we'll see how it goes. I was trying to show y'all some pictures that I think would be good examples of painting wet on wet. So I have an ornament, a tree, a little pine cone. It's kind of Asian style. Some sea creatures. Oh, sea creatures. A couple of y'all were interested in sea creatures. Some more. And I may change it up with the colors. A manatee. And then I have some Japanese paintings, some floral designs that seem to be pretty, maybe simple. We'll see. And a few that I'm going to do in acrylic, but I probably won't. Like that one I'm going to do on an acrylic canvas. This one I'm going to do on acrylic canvas. And I think, I can't remember if I showed you that. All right, so I'm going to go back to my images and I'm going to start with the Christmas ornament. And I am going to take a pencil and I'm going to sketch out the drawing. So I'm going to push this down so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to leave that little square of light there, and that'll just remain white. It's a good idea to go ahead and sketch out your drawing. You're going to paint. All right. Sorry, I'm having bad internet. I'm having bad internet connection. So I've gone ahead and I've gotten my sketch drawn out. Of course, this is just loosely done. You can draw it however you want. Just get it on paper. And then I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm just going to use one of these. And I'm going to go ahead and get my paper wet. And I'm going to start with, oh, I'm even have my watercolors out. All right, so I'm going to use my little watercolor kit and hope I've got enough paint in here. Now with watercolor, as you know, you may just use what's already on your palette. So I'm gonna pick up, let's see, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that pinkish that I have, and you see that the water is pretty thick. Okay. And I'm doing this flat in hopes that it won't run. If it runs outside of your lines, you can just dab it a little bit. And I think I'm gonna just dab that a little bit. All right. Okay. I'm holding my brush at the end uh, because I'm not being precise. I'm kind of being a little bit loosey-goosey with it. Okay. Trying to leave that one little spot where the light uh, is going to hit it. All right, so we have red, pink, yellow, like a lemon yellow, ochre, yellow ochre, a light blue, and some green in this. And like I said, I'm just going to pick up my watercolor that's already in my tray. I may need to clean this and add some more paint to it because I'm getting kind of muted tones, which is fine. It just depends on what aesthetic you're interested in. So I'm going to add a little bit of the permanent sap green, and I'm going to add some lemon yellow over on my palette. And remember, your paper is wet. So your colors are going to bleed together a little bit. What did I say? Green. And I know some of y'all were struggling with using too much of the color. So you need to make sure your brush is really wet, and then just pick up a dab of that color and turn your brush a little as you're going. And I'm going to leave some areas of white for the light, for the illusion of white. My paper was really wet. All right. I'm going to do a little bit more on the ornament, and then I'm going to leave it. My little square was having some red flowing into it. Okay. I'm going to leave that for a little bit, and I'm going to get a tinier brush, one of my miniature brushes. I also just ordered some new miniature brushes, and these have really fine tips on them. So I'm going to wet that, break the bristles apart, and I'm going to pick up some of this green. I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that green and I think for me, the frustrating thing with watercolor is that you have to, go back and load your brush. With acrylic, it's thicker, So you can dilute it with water, of course, but you're not going back and forth. And watercolor is a little bit more of a meditative process. So I'm just adding those just little branches. You can add those however you want. As what was the guy's name that did painting? Something Ross, Bob Ross, Happy Little Trees. So I'm just getting my base down for the trees. I'll go back and I'll add some lighter green and probably some yellow in there and maybe even a darker green for definition. You know, you can cross over your branches to add some depth. For this, you know, the branches will be bigger here and then get tinier as they go. So like I said, I'm going to come back and add to it. You'll get the feel of it. Add water to your brush as needed. I'm probably going to have some of the branches go over the ornament, again, for the illusion of depth. And my artistic aesthetic is to create contour lines with an ink pen. And I just bought a micron pen and a pack of Le Pen. And I really, that's just me. I like the definition of lines. So I'll probably go back over this and have more lines. And I know it can be frustrating. You just have to keep at it. You know, a painting doesn't happen literally overnight. Paintings take a long time to create. My partner Todd will look at a painting that I have started and he's like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm like, you come and do this. It's going to take several days for me, maybe even a week, to finish a painting. So don't be frustrated. You can go back and modify your painting. You can add to it. You can use a paper towel and you can lift the paint up if you don't like the aesthetic that you're getting. And you do have to give your painting some time to dry. So I'm going to leave that for now and come back to it. I'm going to pull this out of my, this is a Hanson watercolor booklet and it's 7x10. So I have my tape on it and I'm just going to take that and set it aside for now. And I'll come back to that. I think I'm going to skip the Christmas tree and I'm going to go to the pine cone. And again, I'm going to sketch it out first very loosely because this is a Japanese style painting, which are based on the woodblock aesthetic. And Japanese paintings have different characteristics that make them considered the genre of Japanese painting. And one of them is that a lot of things are on the diagonal. Another is that they're very simple. And honestly, I can't remember the rest. So it looks like it's got some pine. I guess this is a pine tree. And I've made my pine cone kind of too big. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to take my newly opened eraser and I'm going to erase the pine cone and make it smaller now that I see that it needs to be tinier. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just sketching out loosely the outline of it. And then I'm going to go back in and just add kind of squiggles to make the, I'm not sure what those are called on a pine tree, the little parts that make up the cone. And the paint will do the rest on that to add the definition. So again, I've just sketched it out. And I have a cool Honshu stamp that I purchased from Japan that's got my name on it in both English and in Japanese. All right, so I'll have to look up some of the aspects of Japanese and I can get back to you on that. So that's just a very loosely drawn pine cone. I'm going to wet my paper, not as much as I did last time. Again, this is wet on wet. And I'm going to use my tiny miniature tipped brush to start out. And I guess I'm going to pick up some of this brown that I have here. So I've reverted back to this to loosen up that paint. So this is just going to give me the brown on the branch. Now you can also do that with your brush to give you a splattered effect. Typically you do that after you've painted. So I'm going to wipe that off. And I'm going to go pick up that green again. And again, I'm only going to do part of this. I'll have to come back with another video showing you how to layer the colors. So yeah, just loosey-goosey with your brush, you'll get the feel for how to do, you know, fine lines. You get a bead on the end of your brush, just tap it off on your tray. And I've got my little green bleeding there. So I wiped that. I smudged it a little bit and it gave me a little bit of background color. It's gonna, it's too much water there. All right. And again, I'll probably take some of these pine leaves, needles, and go over that pine cone. So one aspect of painting or drawing is in your background. Your background can be lighter than your foreground, and that'll give you depth. So if you do darker on the front end, it'll give you the illusion of depth. So that's one thing you can also work on. And again, I'm going to come back to this and add more definition and layer the colors once the first initial paint is dry. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to fill in that pine cone And I haven't really studied what the pine cone looks like, but I know I'm going to have some areas where I want to leave the white. And I'll come back again and add more definition to this once it dries. All right, so I'm going to leave that for now as well. Okay. Once you start painting over that wet, it's going to bleed. So I have these two that I've started, the ornament and the pine cone. And that should give y'all a little bit of information on wet on wet, using your brushes to create fine lines, using your brush to create the base for what you're painting. And in a little while, once that dries, I will come back and I will work on it. And I might start the seahorse, the turtle, the crab, the jellyfish. There's this one is all blues and greens, maybe with a hint of purple. Yeah, purple. And then the next one has orange and blues, yellows and greens in it, and some, whoa, and some coral. And I'll send these to y'all in an email if you want to work on these. And there's a manatee. And then again, I will we'll work on, I'll send all of these to you, the Japanese florals, since y'all were wanting to work on some of the floral. And if you want, I can send you the ones that I'm going to do in acrylic, if you're interested in working on acrylic. All right, so I'm going to stop the video. I am going to take some time for it to convert, and then I upload it to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, which is public. You all should have access to it as long as you can log into your YouTube. You know, just go to YouTube, set up an account for yourself, and then you should be able to access all of my videos that I'm sending. So for the rest of this week, I think everybody is caught up on all of the color theory that we worked on, and you've done your samples, your swatches of your watercolor, and that is simply just taking your watercolor colors, all the watercolor that you have, putting them on a piece of paper, and burnt, and then writing below it burnt umber. And you can do thick to light, you can do dry, and then use wet to see the difference. And that will help you when you go back to paint your compositions, so you'll know what your colors look like. Now, if you want to take it a step further, in color theory, we did not mix our grayscale with our colors. You can do that. You can create, pull your grayscale out, add a little bit of white to your watercolors, see what that hue or tone looks like, and then go through the various percentages of the grayscale from lightest to dark and look at those tones. Those are muted tones when you start mixing the gray into it, and it's a whole different aesthetic. I love it. I love muted tones. So at some point I will transition from, just the mixing of the regular pigments, and I'll start adding some of those to show you what that looks like on paper. All right, so that's it for now. Try working on these if you want, or anything that you find on the internet. If you're interested in anything in particular, let me know. I'll look it up for you, and I'll paint it how I paint, and you can choose to paint it how you want to. All right, I'm over and out for now. I'll see y'all Friday, unless I put another video up with the two Christmas compositions. All right, cheers.